my trusted XT4. She has been with me everywhere I went in the last 2 years, and so far she has never let me down. I love you. Don't worry, I'm not thinking of retiring you just yet, my love. And you'll always have a place in my heart. But you won't be my main camera for much longer. It's either going to be the XH2 or the XH2s, and in this video I'm going to look at what the XH2s has to offer. I own the XT4 since it has been released, and I put her through extensive testing. I mean, I've used this camera mostly to make videos almost every single day in the past 2 years. My user experience is in a nutshell that it's a fantastic camera, and I could probably just have the XT4 for the rest of my life and it would be more than enough. Now of course this doesn't mean that it's perfect. To explain what I mean, I'm going to go through the list of features that could have been better. These are actually, for the most part, has been fixed on the XH2s, which makes me very nervous about my savings. Let's start with the autofocus. I'm actually one of those few people who are generally happy enough with the XT4's autofocus. It's not as bad as people make it out to be. Even with third-party lenses like the Viltrox 23mm or the 13mm, it works very well. Not perfect, of course. For example, you can struggle in low light, but that's not a big issue. Plus, the way I shoot videos, usually I have a shot list and I always record multiple takes and choose the best ones while rewatching it on the LCD screen or during the editing process. So I'm not really under any pressure to get the shot right first take. Not to mention that half of the times I have the camera locked to manual focus anyway. I guess it would be a different story if I shoot wedding videos. I don't do them. So if the XH2s's autofocus is 3 times better than the XT4's, that's a big plus. But by itself, it isn't enough for me to upgrade. Okay, let's move on. These dynamic range settings are exactly the same on the XT4 and the XH2s. Do you have yours set to 400? Here's what it does. It's pretty cool stuff, just in case you don't know. The second major thing that bugged me when I use the XT4 is the audio quality. The camera's inbuilt mic is completely trash. It's unusable. So I attached this Rode Video Mic NTG to get decent audio. It kind of works. These shotgun mics are really good when you're close to them and there's no wind. But if you move away a little bit, you'll probably need one of these wireless microphones. By the way, did you know that you can connect your shotgun mic into this recorder for better audio quality than its inbuilt mic? And this thing sends the signal into the receiver, which is directly connected to your camera. This way, you won't need to sync audio in post and you'll have a decent audio. That's pretty good stuff. Now here's the issue. When you connect these microphones directly to the XT4, the audio quality can only be as good as the camera's built-in preamp. Even when you turn the camera's gain to minimum, for best audio, this is what you're supposed to do. The lowest you can go on the XT4 and the XH2s as well is minus 30 dB. And this is actually pretty good. Some cameras can only go to minus 12. So for best results, once you lower the camera's gain to minimum, you'll have to turn up the gain on your microphones. And while you set the correct audio level, always make sure to listen to it. So the XH2s's audio is much improved compared to the XT4. Now I couldn't find any definitive information online, but it has been confirmed by multiple sources. And now on the XH2s there are two 3.5mm connections, one for the microphone and one for your headphones to monitor your audio. This is great because on the XT4 you only had this USB-C dongle cable for audio monitoring, but you couldn't charge your camera in the same time while you use this, so that was stupid. So now that's 2 more points for the XH2s. Well done. The fourth improvement on the XH2s is that Fuji get rid of the recording time limitation. On the XT4 we could only record up to 30 minutes when we shoot up to 4K 30 frames per second and 20 minutes in 4K 50 and 60 frames per second. Now this is a welcome upgrade and I can almost justify buying it. It's getting really close. The fifth improvement is that now we can use CF Express cards as well as SD cards, and don't worry, we'll still have the backup recording option where you save a second recording to your second card, if the file format allows it, of course. Now the CF Express card allowed the XH2s to record ProRes 422 and ProRes RAW files too, but you need to remember these files are also easier to edit. They have 8 and 10 times the size of the same length H.265 10-bit files, so I probably won't use these codecs at all. I mean, when you're shooting ProRes RAW, you're talking about a minute-long clip is about 13 gig in size. That's massive. Now these newish cards are a bit more expensive, but the fastest CF Express cards have a maximum writing and reading speed twice as fast as the fastest SD cards, and due to their design, they generally last much longer as well. Well, let's move on. We get a newly developed shutter button that has a leaf spring mechanism, which will give us a longer stroke between half and a full press. Well, that's good news, because the XT4 was pretty short. We get 7 custom shooting modes, this little screen on the top, these are both good news. I love the bigger grip on the XH2s, it feels so much better in your hands. Fuji uses the same battery, which is a great news considering how good these batteries are. One of my favorite things about the XT4 is that you can trust its battery, and now we can just mix and match. But finally, the biggest improvement for me is none of these things I listed up to this point, and it's not the improved rolling shutter or the faster burst rate for stills. Nope. it's the 4K 120 frame per second. Wow, that is huge. I always thought the 120 on the XT4 it wasn't great. It didn't really look good. It's grainy and muddy and not sharp at all. This single feature could tip the scale for me when I decide between the XH2 and the XH2s. In poker, a sign of a good mood is if you make your opponents think hard. Fuji didn't make it easy for me. But what do you think? Did you get the XH2s already? Are you getting the XH2 or maybe waiting for the XT5? It's not an easy decision, isn't it? As always, I really appreciate you watching the video to the end, and thanks for that. Please like it and sub for more. And see you in the next one. Bye.